All right. Do we have any brave parents who want to raise a hand and tell me what is your son or daughter excited about in coming to high school? What do you think? Sally?
No uniform.
No uniform. I get that all the time. Yes. Yes. I'm asking you just so you know, the last 3 years I go in and I meet every one of the year 9 homerooms in the British school, and I meet every one of the homerooms in the middle school in grade 8, and I ask the students a series of questions and I have them respond on an online survey. And I ask them what they're excited about, what they're nervous about coming to high school. So you just nailed number one. The number one excitement for students is no dress code coming to high school. Yeah. Anybody else know what other things they're excited about? Any other hands? Cafeteria? Yes. Yeah. Not until this year, but yep, now they are. Yeah. Anyone else? Any ideas of what middle schoolers and British schools are excited about? Yeah.
Making new friends.
Making new friends. Yeah. So what I didn't make you guys do, and I don't know, how many of you have seen your children since school ended today? You guys seen your kids? I know some students took late buses. I know some kids don't see mom and dad. They duck home and say, yeah, how was your day? Good, goodbye. Yeah, I'm going to my room. Yeah. This morning we actually met with all of the year 9s and all of the grade 8s right here in this room. I got a chance to meet with them. And the first thing I made them do was get up and go to 4 different corners based on which house they're in. And they had a chance to start to meet students, because that's actually one of the things student surveys say over and over again. They're really excited about coming to high school because there is a chance to make new friends. We usually get about just over half of our class from the middle school, just over a quarter of our class from the British school, and we get about a quarter of our class that's brand new and has never been to SFS before. So all those students come into grade 9, and they love the fact that it is in some ways a chance to start over. It's a wider pool of friends. It's under different circumstances, and for many students, they're really excited about that opportunity to meet new people and make friends in a larger pool, which you get in high school. What the teachers say to me is that 1 week into classes, they have no idea who came from the British school, who came from the middle school, and who was new to SFS. They literally can't tell. And that's one of the things I think that's really exciting about the high school. Anyone else want to hazard a guess as to what students are excited about coming to the high school? Yeah, dress code, that's a big one. Not quite whatever, but yes, they don't have to wear a uniform. Other things that come up, students are excited about yeah, Stephanie. Yeah, they get some choice in some subjects. That's exciting. They also tell me they're excited about having a wider variety of teachers. They usually say we're excited about a bit more freedom. Those are the things that come across. All right, I want you to think, what do you think your children are most nervous about in coming to high school? Think about that for a couple seconds. What are they most nervous about in coming to high school?
Level of vocabulary qualification.
And then I want you to tell that to the person next to you. Everybody gets a chance to talk. Turn to your neighbor, tell them what they're nervous about. Go for it. All right, now do we have any volunteers who'd like to let me know, what do they think your children might be nervous about coming to high school? You said academic expectations?
Right.
Yes. They usually say one of the top things students say, they're worried about the homework load. They're worried about how tough their classes are going to be in high school. Yeah. Anything else you think that your students are nervous about? What to wear every day. What to wear. They're excited about those new friendships. They're worried about those new friendships. Excited about the dress, having a dress code. Yeah, yeah. The other things that they tell me they're nervous about, quite frankly, every class has told me they're nervous about upperclassmen. Yeah. They're about this tall, and they're walking through the halls with people who are this tall and shave. You know, it's a whole new world. Yeah, it's a bigger building. It's full of lots of people. In the old building and in the new building, students tell me they're a little intimidated. They feel intimidated by the upperclassmen. We talk to them a lot about how great the upperclassmen are and how well they're going to welcome them into the high school, but they are nervous about that. They're always nervous. Yeah. Well, tonight is a kickoff night, and what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about the journey that is going to take place starting tonight, but it doesn't end tonight. I think the really cool thing is that I get to welcome you guys to high school. This is probably, is it okay if I scare you? Yeah. This is like the last big transition they're going to make before they go off to university. Yeah? Made the jump from elementary or from Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 2 into middle school, Key Stage 3. They're going to come to high school. They'll have one other transition here in high school, and the next one is when you set them off on their own to use everything you've taught them to make some of the choices for themselves. So to me, that's exciting, but I also understand it's a bit nerve-wracking. So what we're going to do is we actually work with the students. This morning I spoke with the students mostly to share what I'm going to share tonight, which is a lot just about the course selection and their course choices, which are coming up for next year. It's a pretty immediate thing. What they will be doing is come back over. They're going to be meeting with the counseling team. And what they'll be talking about is a lot more of the social aspects of transition to high school. The counseling team really works with that. I work more with the academic aspects of that transition. So tonight has a couple segments to it. One, I'm going to share with you this basic information about course selection and the choices your students have for next year. After that, we're going to take a quick break, and you'll be able to opt for one of two things. At that point, you'll be able to opt to either stay in, and our MYP curriculum support person in the high school, Mr. Nate Walker, is going to do a presentation on MYP. So if you don't have a lot of knowledge about what MYP is, which is the program we run in grades 9 and 10, then I encourage you to stick around, because Nate's going to give about a 45-minute presentation that'll take you in depth on what the MYP is. So if that's something you have questions on, after I'm done, we'll take a break. You can get some coffee, and you're welcome to stick around for that. At the same time, if you want to step just outside the doors, I'm going to be here with two of our Korean language teachers. And if you want to ask specific questions about the Korean language progression in the high school, we're happy to do that. Or if you would like to ask some questions in Korean, because it's easier to ask and answer in Korean than English, we're happy to speak with you after the end of this session just out in the lobby. So those are two options. Now, I did have one other thought, and that is, how many of you, this is your first time in the high school building? It's a new high school building. Okay, a couple. How many of you have never been on a tour or seen any other parts of the high school? Never seen the rest of the high school. All right. If you're interested and you'd like, I can take you on a tour of the high school building. So if you want to stick around, I'll put that as an option as well. You can come do that. So that's those will be our plans for the evening. So I'm going to walk you through this. I mentioned we have some programming planned over the next few months. That will be done largely with the counseling team, and they'll be meeting with your students and helping them to prepare and think about the transition to high school next year. We also have a special program at the beginning of the year for freshmen. So on registration day, we have the whole freshman class in. That's all the students from the British school, the middle school, and all the students who are new to SFS come here, and they do a half-day orientation that's special just for freshmen. What we do is they get their schedule before anyone else does. They get to walk around and find out where their classrooms are and their locker is the day before everyone else does, so that they feel comfortable coming into school to start off their freshman year. So that's coming in a couple of months in August. And then there'll be a few other sort of steps along the way. In August of 2021, we're going to help them choose courses and start their IB diploma program, which will be their last 2-year course of study. Here and at SFS, we're really proud of the IB diploma program. It's the best university prep there is out there. I told the students this morning, you can see if I scared them. The IB, I have never yet met a student that wasn't stretched by the IB. Less than 1/3 of 1% of all the students that sat the IB exams last year got a perfect score.
Wow.
Yeah. It's an incredibly challenging program. It has stretched every single student I've met. And yet, it's also accessible to every student. I don't want to get into details about the IB, but it's a great program that really does prepare the students. In August of 2021, your students will be launching on that journey, and we're going to help them choose those courses. And then I'm really excited that hopefully I'll get to see all of you in May of 2023 or June of 2023 when we have graduation and your kids graduate. So a long journey that we're kicking off here. Does that scare you a little bit? Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. All right. There's lots of helps along the way. I mentioned the counseling team. So this is the team of our counselors. I showed this to the students this morning. They met 3 out of the 4 counselors. Our counselors are divided up by house, and they do stick with the students through their 4 years here at SFS. So Mr. Igcse is our Director of College Counseling, and he is in charge of the red house. Mrs. Gilmore is in charge of the blue house, Mrs. Holcomb the green house, and Mrs. Mayo the gold house. So they actually are available to students starting now. If they have any questions, I told the students they're welcome to come over here and talk to their counselor if they have any questions about course selection for next year. And these counselors will work with them through their 4 years. They'll actually meet with you next year and explain they have a great program that starts in grade 9, help students identify who they are, their learning strengths, and then they're going to grade 10, going to do a lot of career exploration, which prepares them for university research in grade 11 and the application process in grade 12. So your students are in great hands all the way through the 4 years as they work with your students' social-emotional issues and on college and university applications in preparation. And in case you're wondering, because I see lots of people who might have different destinations in mind, and I saw some questioning looks. Yes, this is my wife. Mrs. Holcomb is a counselor, so I'll answer the question for you right up front. She's actually, right now, she's been gone for 7 days. She's at Oxford University. She was one of 40 counselors invited there. She was able to sit in seminars at Oxford and attend one-on-one sessions with their admissions team there. She came away just raving about the amazing programs that we have at Oxford, that are there at Oxford. But they are my wife's current caseload. She's working with students that are going to university in Singapore, in Denmark, in France, in the UK, and in the US. So, and I did say Singapore. The one she didn't have was Australia this year, but we have students going to all these places all over the world, and our counseling team supports all of them in that journey, no matter what their destination is. So you'll get lots of support from these guys, so that's why I show you their pictures. They're really the hub of our student care in the high school. There are other people that help. We have a head of grade in grade 9, that's Miss Heather Adkins this year, and she works with the grade 9s as they transition in and runs grade level meetings, as well as lots of other layers of support for your students. All right, now I do need to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to try to brainstorm what are some of the things that you think are going to remain the same for your child as they move into high school. All right, so think about that for a couple seconds. What things are going to be the same for them as they move into high school? And why don't you turn to the person next to you and share some of your ideas. What's going to stay the same as they head into high school? Go for it. You can look at the pictures for some clues if you want. What's going to stay the same? Yeah. It's funny because most of the students have a hard time coming up with that. What's not going to change? See, conversation starting to start. Any brave souls want to let us know what are some things they think will stay the same? And students always have trouble with this, but eventually they get there. What things are not going to change as they move to high school?
Curiosity.
What's that?
Curiosity.
Curiosity? I hope not. Yes. I hope not. If anything, I hope it gets stronger. Yeah. What other structural things won't change for students? What will be very similar to them as they come to high school? Well, students, when they're stumped, I let them know you actually still be going to classes every day. They're still taught by teachers. More importantly than that, we know that this time of year is our recruiting season when we go and hunt for teachers, and we know that there's nothing more important than having the very best teachers. I think that we have fantastic teachers in the middle school and the British school, and I hope that your children continue that and experience really, really excellent teachers in high school. I always say there's two things I'm looking for when I'm hiring teachers. I want teachers that challenge students and know their content really well, and I want teachers that care. Now, what we find with the IB programs that we offer, the MYP and the DP, the challenge is already built in. They're tough programs. What I really look for in teachers are teachers that know those and deliver those well, but also deliver those in a caring environment. And you see up here some of the examples of some of our teachers that I think do a phenomenal job of delivering the hard curriculum that we deliver with an awful lot of care and student support. So I think your students will find those are very similar. They did ask, we do lunch, yes, so that will be similar. Yeah. We have homework, yes, that will be similar. We have tests and different types of assessments, that will be similar. They're going to get a report, that's going to be similar. And actually, as the students start thinking about it, there's quite a few things that will be similar. The things that are different are actually not that many. Here's one thing that might be different. So, yeah, this is the student schedule. I've been in lots of schools with lots of schedules. The thing I did learn quickly is that the students will always learn the schedule faster than the adults will, whenever there's a new one. Yeah. So I'm going to have a look at this for a moment. Our schedule is an 8-day rotation. You can see up top there. I'm going to flip one slide here. It's pretty much a 2-day rotation that repeats 4 different times if you like math and algorithms. This is sort of a generic example of their schedule, and this one has some classes filled in so you see what a schedule could look like. All right. Now, I'd like you to turn to the person next to you and just talk about what are some things that you notice about this schedule, or what are some questions you have. What are some things you notice, or what are some questions that you have? You can go ahead and talk to the person next to you. All right, now I asked all the students, is there something that's familiar here? And everyone coming from the British school or the middle school has one thing in common, and that is that you can see these yellow periods right here. These 3 40-minute periods are the same 3 40-minute periods that your children have currently. Does anybody know what 3 things do they have in those 40-minute periods in the middle of the day? 3 things. Quiz on your kids' schedules. Yeah. They have music, they have their world language, and they have lunch. So they're going to find very similar in the high school. The only thing that's missing is that we don't do music at this time of day. So for 9th and 10th grade, students will go through their morning class, and then they will either have their world language and then lunch every day, or they will have lunch first, and then their world language second every day. So most students will find that's very similar to what they're experiencing now, world language every day, and these 40-minute slots at lunch. Let's see, any questions that people had as they were looking at this? You can see the rest of the lessons are 70-minute blocks. And if I flip back to this schedule, you can see that they do, we call it waterfall. So each class, Class A, meets first, second, third, and last period of the day, so that you don't always have math right after lunch, say. All the classes rotate as to when they occur during the school day. So, just to give you an idea, that's what students will experience day in, day out. We have 3 70-minute classes every morning. The last part of the second period class actually gets a 10-minute break, so we do give them a longer break there. And then they'll have their world language and lunch. This is our activity period where students have club meetings or community time or grade level meetings or house meetings. And then we end up with the last 70-minute period of the day. So that's what a day looks like in the high school. So that could be different for your students. Here's another thing that can be different. And I realize I forgot to tell you, I think there were sheets out back that most people got. You don't need these sheets, so they're not a requirement. If you want to, if I'm boring, you can just doodle. If you want to take some notes, you can. You notice in the back, I actually have, the students did this morning, a little chart. What are some things that are going to be the same and different? I had them jot down some of their ideas. You don't have to, but they did jot some of those things down there. So this is a similar activity that they did this morning. One of the things I tell students is be sure when you come to high school to get involved. There's a lot of opportunities to be involved in sports and athletics and music and fine arts. There's tons of opportunities in the high school, MUN, forensics, service clubs. There's a myriad of things. And what we want in the high school is your child to bring their talents and the gifts and the things they love doing, and we want them to flourish in those things here. So I encourage all 9th graders, jump in and get involved during your 9th grade year. Don't be shy, don't wait around, just jump in. And these are just a couple of the examples. This was the kayak championship basketball team from the year before this year. This was last year's musical Grease. So lots of exciting opportunities for students to get involved in. Our music ensembles perform at such a high level. Jump in and really enjoy the time in high school. We do have a Discovery Week trip every year, the first week in November. And that's a week when every student in grades 9 through 12 goes off on one of 27 different trips. 14 of those are outside of the United States, and outside of Korea. 13 of those are right here inside of Korea. So students can choose an overseas course or a local course. All of them are designed and led by the teachers, and most of them have curricular tie-ins. They're focused either around service, around cultural experiences, or skill building. And all of those courses that run are cross-grade level. So students go on trips with students from grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. What we do make sure is that there's always at least a couple students of the same gender and grade level on a trip. So we would never send a 9th grade boy on a trip all by himself. There's always at least 2 9th grade boys or 2 9th grade girls. Students come back from these trips saying that they're the highlight of their year. They meet people across the grade levels. They have amazing experiences. And it really is one of the great moments in high school. So that's something that could be different for students as they come into high school. And here's some of our grade level retreats that happen at the beginning of the year. So I show these to the students. Look at some things will be the same, some different, depending whether you come from the British school or middle school or what other experiences that you've had. All right, tonight we're mostly going to talk academics. I told you I'd get you here. I mentioned the IB Diploma Program and why we think it's the best program out there and why lots of universities agree with us. And the middle years program is what we have in grades 9 and 10 that helps prepare students for that. Now, if you've been here for a long period of time, you know we used to offer the Igcse Curriculum in grades 9 and 10. And one of the things we did was an audit to see how well that prepared our students for the IB diploma. And we found in some areas it did and in some areas it didn't. So as we've transitioned to MYP, what we've done is we have kept the areas of the IGCSE content that really aligned well with the IB diploma. Those that didn't, we've taken out. And when there were gaps there, we've added in other things. So just to give you an example, under our IGCSE curriculum, we didn't feel like students had enough lab exposure to be ready for the IB diploma program. The IB diploma program, 20 to 25% of your science classes are graded on labs that you create, invent, and then run, and then write up. And so what we've done is build in more lab experiences for students in grades 9 and 10 so that those skills are built up, preparing them to get ready for grades 11 and 12. Again, Mr. Walker is going to talk to you more about this after this section. There are 8 subject areas in the MYP that every student is required to take. On the back of your sheet, I have listed group 1, 2, 3, 4. You look like you're fading a little bit on me, so I want you to see if you can write down, take a guess at what are the 8 subject areas that every student has to take in the MYP. I'm going to give you about 45 seconds to see if you can take a guess at those. Go for it. Oh, they are. I say that in a minute. Part of this was a test to see how savvy you are. If you flip the sheet over, they're actually all listed. So there's a cheat that's available there. So if you could think of them. The 8 subject areas that are required for every school that's an MYP school. A Group 1 class, which is our language and literature classes. Group 2, which is our language acquisition. Group 3 are individuals and societies, which you might be familiar with as being called social studies or humanities. Group 4 is the sciences. Group 5, mathematics. Got a Group 7, physical and health education, and Group 8, design. And those 8 subject areas are required for every MYP school. That students have to take a course in each of those 8 areas. We also have one additional area here at SFS. We have a seminar program that's required for all students. That is the program that the counselors teach. They work with students on their career exploration, their personal study habits exploration. They talk to them about stress and time management. All that's delivered by our counselors through our seminar classes. And we also have a Christian ed class that's required for all students, which exposes students to the basic beliefs of Christianity and encourages them to think about their own faith, whether it's the same or different or whether they don't have a faith, and to make those connections to themselves. So those are the required classes that all students take in grade 9. And I'm going to walk you really quickly through what that looks like. So this on the front side has a course selection where all the courses for grade 9 that we offer are listed. And then on the back side, there are some blanks where you can actually write some notes on here if you'd like. So I told the students, we're going to start out by making it a little bit easy. And that is that 6 of these are the same course for every student in the high school. So these all grade 9 students take, no matter what. So I told the students it's easy because you don't have to make a choice. We've made it easy for you. All students take the MYP English Language and Literature class. That's a first language English class. This in grade 9 and 10 will prepare them for both IB diploma courses in English that they could look at. MYP Humanities is a class that combines history and global politics. That's what students take in grade 9. In grade 10, they'll go to an MYP Humanities course that examines psychology, economics, and business management. And that's to give the students an exposure to all of their possible IB diploma choices they would have in grade 11. In science, students take biology through all of grade 9. Then when they go to grade 10, they'll have a semester of chemistry and a semester of physics. So again, that's to prepare them for all of those sciences as they move up into grade 11. We do physical and health education in grades 9 and 10, combination of both theory and action in the MYP, and MYP design, which is one of my favorite classes in the MYP. If you've come from the middle school, you're familiar with MYP design. If you haven't, you may not have been exposed to that before. I love design because design is really a problem-solving course. Students are presented with a challenge. They have to then create solutions to that challenge within certain parameters. They have to meet certain specifications. They do research, they prototype, they have to build their actual product, and then they have to test it against their market and see did their product meet the goals that they intended. Fascinating course and one I think really valuable for our students. And lastly, I mentioned the seminar on Christian education. So those are all easy because students don't have to make any choices on those. So now it gets a little more complex. Here's how I'll try to make it nice and confusing. We offer 2 levels of math in the high school, but you will have 3 different course choices when you get the course choice list. All right, so if you're on the back, what I would like you to do is write down on the back of your sheet next to math, if you want to write down page 33. Write down page 33. In attempting to make your kids a little bit more responsible, we gave them these this morning, and their assignment was to get it to you. All right? So chase your son or daughter up. Now, if you really can't get a copy for them, don't worry, just let us know, and we can get you your own copy. You'll also get an email that has an e-copy of this, so you could look at it on a PDF version if you'd like. This is the course description booklet. It describes all the courses, grades 9 through 12 in the high school, that are offered across all the subject areas. So if you really can't sleep some night, you can have a read through this. It'll put you out guaranteed. But on page 33, it actually describes for you the different math levels. So we have 3 different classes that teach math at 2 different levels. So the top is the higher level class. For a higher level, you'll note on page 33 the scores that students need to have. They need to have those scores plus a teacher recommendation in order to start math higher level in the high school. I talked to the students this morning and said if you have questions about that, please talk to your child's math teacher now, to Miss J in the British school or Miss Kim in the middle school. So have those conversations. If you want to take math standard level, you'll just be able to choose that. But we offer one other option, and that's math standard level with extra support. Now this is a really neat option that we offer. It is the exact same outcomes and the same tests and the same assessments as math standard level. It's just that the class meets more frequently, and it has 2 teachers in there to support the students. So we think it's a fantastic option for students that struggle a little bit with math. A few years ago, we used to offer a lower math class that was actually a subset, only about 60% of the content of math. What we've done over the past couple of years is actually those students now sit 100% of the standard level content. They just have additional support, and they're being very, very successful in that setting. So we're really excited about that. So those are the 3 choices your child could choose: higher level, standard level, or standard level with extra support. Again, that's extra class time and another teacher in the class. Now, you might say, how am I going to get this course selection form? Next Thursday is the beginning of a long weekend. So you guys have students have Thursday and Friday off. Next Thursday morning, you're going to get an email. It is going to have, actually, sorry, I got to rewind. Your child will get an email to their email account. It's going to have linked in there their course selection form. They're going to sit down and do that with you. Now, if you're worried your child might try to choose courses without you knowing, every time they click submit, it an email to your address that's listed in PowerSchool. So if your child tries to change something behind your back, you'll get an email letting you know. You don't have to worry about that. I would encourage you to sit down with your son or daughter and go through that course choice selection form. All right, so on there, you'll have those 3 choices of math. You'll be able to choose those. Next is the fine arts. So every student has to choose an arts class for grade 9, and they really have 2 broad groups of options. One of them is an academically focused arts, and the other is a performance-oriented arts experience. So if students choose the performance arts experience, they can participate in the band, the choir, or the orchestra, or by audition into the wind ensemble. So students have been doing those music classes at lunch like they do presently and really want to continue. They actually increase their time. They get it every other day for 70 minutes, and they can continue to participate in the ensemble, the performance-oriented arts, if they wish. If they wish to go not be in performance and do a more academic route, they can choose either MYP Theater, MYP Visual Arts, or MYP Music. So either of those 3 courses, which is an academic course in those topics. All right. I do recommend, and mention this to the students, if you wish to take in grades 11 and 12 visual arts or music or theater, it is a better choice to choose that in grades 9 and 10 as well. You'll be better prepared for that in the IB diploma. It's not a requirement, but we do encourage it. So if you have a student that's really interested in visual arts, they were thinking about maybe art school for university, that's something they're keenly interested, I would encourage them to take the visual arts class in grades 9 and 10. All right, so 2 arts, or 1 art every student chooses, either performance-based or more academic-oriented. All right, and we're through 2 out of our 3 choices. All right, the very last choice, language acquisition. So when your child gets that email next Thursday, and you click and sit down over the long weekend sometime with them, and you open it up, you'll be able to choose one of the math classes from the 3 that are there. You'll choose one of the arts options from the 7 that are there. You will actually see the language acquisition part will be pre-filled in for you. So what language teachers are doing is that the language teacher your child has now has recommended their placement for next year. and that will be auto-filled into your course selection link that you get. Now, if for some reason your child wants to change that, what you'll be able to do is click and say, I'd like to appeal this placement. And that's what you want to do if for some reason you'd like to change the course that your child is taking. Otherwise, you just click confirm, and it lets us know you're on the same page as we are about what language they're taking next year. Now, why might a child want to move? We actually encourage students to continue to take whatever language they took starting in grade 6 all the way through grade 10. The IB says our aim is to have students be fluently bilingual as much as possible. So we encourage students to pick a language and stick with it from grade 6 all the way through grade 10. There are a few exceptions when students do change. Sometimes students speak Korean at home and have wanted to do Korean A, or Korean native level language. If that hasn't been an option and you want to switch to that in grade 9, we support that for students. So your students will get notification about a language placement test, and they'll have the opportunity to switch to Korean A class in grade 9. Now, I'm using lingo that I know a lot of people don't know. The A and B language just refers to a first language, a native level language is a language A language that you're learning and acquiring is a language B. So if I were to jump ahead a few years, I get a lot of parents that ask me, my child going to university, if they study Korean as a language A, does that look bad on their university applications because they're ethnically Korean? And the answer is no. It actually looks really good. When our students go to university to apply and they've done English language A and Korean language A, they earn a bilingual IB diploma. And universities know what that means. Essentially, it means not only has my child read and written essays analyzing Shakespeare in English, they have read essays and analyzed them in Korean at that same level. So that communicates a totally different thing to universities than someone who's taking a language B, which says, I'm starting to learn how to speak Korean. That's a very different thing. So if you, again, afterwards, if you want to ask some more language questions, we'll be in back so we can help you understand the differences between those. There's one other option for families that speak a language that we don't teach here at SFS at home, and that is a self-taught option that we work with students that also can lead to a bilingual diploma. So we have students right now doing bilingual diplomas in Danish, in Hebrew. We've had them in the past few years in Arabic and in Spanish. So if your family speaks another language at home and you're interested in that, just talk to me about those language options. So language is usually one of the most confusing ones. Hopefully that will have answered some of your questions. So there are all the courses that students take in grade 9 and some of those options. Are there any questions about course selection and courses?
Is there any accelerating program that students, if the student is qualified for a certain level, another level of the standard, then you can skip that one level and to move to another level?
Good question, yeah. Do we have any accelerated level of classes or skipping of a level to another level? Other than math, which runs a higher level option, we don't have advanced options. We haven't found any students that need them yet, to be quite honest. What we do find, and this is right across the way from grades 9 through 12, is students may be quite advanced in math, but may need to put that extra time instead into one of the other subjects. I think that's a key point of the MYP, is that we're really pushing your student in all areas. So we're going to work them really hard in English, we're going to work them really hard in science, and so if math is an easier subject for them, likely they need that time and energy in some of their other subjects.
So one of the key issues in the Korean parents in this school is they get the 6 months behind the schedule rest of the peer group in Korean society. So eventually they get to the point that when they enter the university level, their peer group is 1 year behind their own peer.
Yeah.
So we try to catch up with that, those kind of,
That makes sense.
delay of schedules by, if you provide such accelerated programs for the rest of those parents who has concern about it.
Yeah.
That will, I just curious.
Yeah, and we've spoken, we worked with a few families in that who are headed to a Korean university, and we can talk with you about that. So, yeah. Okay, he was saying the concern coming from students, because the Korean system starts and ends at a different time, being 6 months behind their Korean counterparts. If they're, I imagine if they're applying to a Korean university, and therefore a year behind by the time they enter. And that was this question about accelerating classes to catch up with the age cohort. Is that right?
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
Are the language classes cross
In order to give every student the best experience, they are by proficiency level, not grade. So they are potentially mixed grade classes. I know what we committed to was never having more than 3 grade levels, so it'll be never more than 8, 9, and 10 in a class. So we would never have 6th graders in a class with 10th graders, for example. And the push that the language team has been working on is to make them high school only and middle school only as much as possible. Yeah? Is there an option to do 2 arts? Generally what we find with students who are very artistic is there are lots of extracurricular activities that students are involved in. So my daughter was very into theater and very into visual arts. So she took visual arts as a class and then has been in all the high school productions. And that way she has the ability to sort of scratch both itches, if you will. So with our ensembles and with the theater performances after school, that has given most students that ability to do 2 arts. The required course of study says these 8. Students can apply for an exception if they feel like they have a really compelling case, and we consider those if we can schedule it. Stephanie? Yes. Yeah. 3 languages. Yes. Yep. Yeah, what we know we can do, sorry, question about 3 languages. Is it possible to do 3 languages? So 11th and 12th grade, it's very easy to do 3 languages. And we have students that do that. 9th and 10th is a little more challenging because it takes place at that lunchtime. So far, the way we've put out is students working over their lunch for different days and doing independent studies. I know Jan Mark's been working on mother tongue program, which we absolutely support, and we're open to any ways we can be flexible to help make that happen. So I know sometimes it's after school, and it's tough sometimes to fit in the schedule, but it's very important. Another hand, yeah. Great question. Yeah, can the student change courses after they select it? So with all the other grade levels, when I meet with their parents and talk about course selection, and I'm going to take your question to say one other thing. I mentioned you'll receive the course survey next Thursday on the 28th. It will be due on March 11th. So you get it on Thursday the 28th, you have the long weekend, you have a whole week, and you have one more weekend. All right? It is due at 8 a.m., that's your homework, to do it with your son or daughter, on Monday, March 11th. Why is that so important? What happens if you don't get your selections in? Well, basically what we do every year is we build a brand new schedule from scratch for all 500 students in the high school. So they put in their requests. There are some schools that actually create a schedule ahead of time, and it just means if you take this class, you can't take that class. They dictate that to you. And we don't do that. We take all the student input, and then we try to build that schedule. The beautiful thing is we've done it every year. Usually there's about 10 students that have to change one of their choices, but we're able to do that and meet almost everyone's needs. The downside of that is once we build that schedule, changing classes can become hard. We can't guarantee always that you could change once the schedule is built. So I'd encourage you to meet the deadline and get your son or daughter's course choices in by March 11th, please, because then we will use that in the schedule build. If you don't, we won't be able to build it in the schedule. If you do request a change afterwards, at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year, and I'll talk to you about that structure, we do it if the schedule allows it. Now, the more specialized classes you have, the harder it can be. So, for example, if you're in a French class that only has 1 section, and you're in math higher level that only has 2 sections, and you're in band that only happens at one time, then it might become impossible to get you into the other choice that you want. So generally we're able to make them. The students have the first 2 cycles, so we have an 8-day cycle. They have the first 16 days of the school year in August to go to their classes and see how they're working, and if it's not a fit and they're like, oh no, I should not have done band, I really want to take visual art. They have that first 16-day window where they can do a course change request and change courses. After that point, they're locked into the classes that they have chosen. At the end of grade 9, there's a chance for a few of those classes to change. If they want to change their math level, if they really want to change an arts class, you can do that at the end of grade 9. Good question.
So what you're basically saying is once we actually make a selection on March 1st, we have about 10 days to confirm it.
Yes.
Once that's confirmed, then we can change.
Yeah, so when you get the course selection link, you'll have, I think, 10 or 11, 12 days, I don't know the exact number, to make the choice. You can submit it, and then if you have a conversation and change your mind, you can submit it again. what we're going to do is we will take the latest submission, and that's the one that we're going to use to build the schedule with. Good questions. Yeah,
For the math, you said that it depended on the score as well as the teacher recommendation.
that's correct.
So is that going to be similar to language where it's going to be what it is and then you can appeal, or how does that
No, we do allow,
selection?
yeah, it's a great question. So students and parents actually choose what you'd like. We look through, we have a list of all the students that the teachers recommend that have met the criteria, and we match that against the students that put down higher level. So if you choose higher level and you weren't recommended or you didn't have the scores, we'll come to you and say, hey, you weren't recommended for that, and we have a conversation at that point. Good questions. Any other questions? Anyone's brain full? Giving you enough information? All right, so what I will offer is this. I'm going to give you a chance if you need another cookie or some more fruit or a little bit more coffee. So you have a couple options after this. First of all, thank you for taking your time and coming out tonight. I hope this has really been helpful. But then you'll have a couple options. You can stay in here, and Mr. Nathan Walker is going to start in about 5 minutes and take you on a tour that's more in depth on what MYP is. So if you'd like to stick around for that, you may. If you have questions, we'll have a Korean language questions and questions in Korean just outside, and I'll be out there. And if you'd like to go on a little tour of the high school, just meet me out there, and I'll be happy to take you around after that. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. We look forward to having you guys in the high school.
So
Yeah.
what you were going to